Hey guys, today's legal tip is won't close. Does that equal a material adverse fact? So under the law, if your client says, well, I'm just not going to close, I'm not going to buy, I'm not going to sell it when they're under contract, does that rise to the level of a material adverse fact? Well, we have to look at our statute to see what that is. And unfortunately, under 40-5730, subsection 15 or 16 rather, it defines what a material adverse fact is. And for today's discussion, we're only going to talk about part B, which is information that indicates that a party to a transaction is not able to or does not intend to meet an obligation under contract or agreement made concerning the transaction. All right, let's break that down. If I'm planning on buying your house and I tell my agent, look, I'm not buying this house, I don't like it, I've already found something else, I'm out. Yes, your agent has an absolute duty to go to the other side and say, hey, my client just told me they're not intending to buy. There's the rationale behind that is we want to get that information to the other side as soon as possible, so they can mitigate any damages, relist the house, and get moving forward. That seems to make common sense. But the problem with the way their statute is written, I think it goes too far, because it says when they indicate they're not able to or does not intend to meet an obligation. So if you're showing your client a house on a final walkthrough and your client's angry about it and goes, well, I'm just not going to close, this house is filthy, or they didn't fix this. Or if your seller gets mad because the buyer asked for something to be fixed after the due diligence and they really didn't have the right to do it. And I've heard this where I'm just not going to sell. These people are jerks or bothering me. Once your client says that, that triggers a material adverse fact and requirement to disclose under the statute. So technically under the statute, when they have this blustering and they're just angry, you're supposed to go to the other side and say, hey, my client just said they're not willing to close. Now, I personally think this is going to create all kind of chaos. And when they talked about this, when the new statute came out in 2017, I told them it was going to be an absolute nightmare. And I think it has been, or people are just avoiding the law and not doing what it says. But you're supposed to disclose on all those situations, but I don't think people are. I think what you need to do in those situations when your client's just blustering because they're angry about something, you go to them and say, look, John, as an agent, I have to disclose material adverse fact. Our statute defines a material adverse fact as someone's unwilling to or unable to complete part of the transaction. You're here saying you're just not going to sell it to them. So I'm required now by law to go tell them that. So are we really meaning this, or are we just angry and blowing off steam? Hopefully your client will say, look, I was just angry, blowing off steam, let's move on. But if they're like, no, I'm serious, then at that point, you're going to go tell the other side and all the chips are going to fall where they may. So this is a statutory requirement. This isn't Gary's best ideas. This is a statutory requirement. I don't like it any more than you do. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it does make sense when it's clear the person is like, I'm not buying, I've already found another house. But that's a far cry from people who are just mad and say that. I get the phone calls weekly where people are like, well, I'm just mad they won't do this, so I'm just not going to buy it. So, y'all gonna have to deal with it the best you can. I do think that what your best options are is to explain it to the client that you're going to have to disclose it, and please make sure that you're being serious on what you want me to do. So hopefully that answers the question for you. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week with another legal tip.